You?
Feels like I haven't talked to you in forever.
I know. It's been a hot minute. Well, we actually I'm kind of proud of us. We've had a few weeks in a row where we've like both been home, been able to do the show on Tuesdays.
It'll change. It'll change it. I think
Very
October
very soon.
is the start of it, isn't it? October's the start.
October start. Although my London trip, I'll be home. I'm not missing a Tuesday. It's just a long weekend, so I won't miss
Well,
a
I'm
Tuesday.
talking about the end of October.
Yeah, I'll be sailing. I'll be sailing the old school route to America, Europe to Florida.
So you'll be doing that, and then after you get off that, I'll be in Rome. Then I'll be home for a week. Then I'll be in Germany, and then I
I
think
have
we're
cruise
home
planner
for
convention,
we include Cruise Planners Convention, home a
and
week,
then
then you're on the Beyond.
no, Prima first.
Oh, Prima, then Beyond. I think then we have a gap week or two, and then I'm in London.
Yeah, so far I have nothing planned for Christmas, New Year's. People keep asking me to do stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be
We'll see.
expensive if you do anything last minute.
As we talked last week about holiday airfare is
Obnoxious. Even, I'm trying to finagle the last two tickets for my company because I ended up switching the hub airport because a bunch of the prices dropped. And for this week in November, their price went from 850 to $1,700. It was a little devastating.
yeah. I have a few flights that I keep watching. I haven't pulled the trigger on. I just keep watching. I'm like, ugh, I need to just pull the trigger on some flights.
Well, speaking of pulling the trigger, we can
Oh,
get
it is top of the hour. You are right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is our weekly travel talk show where we talk about everything. We're talking about cruises today. We're talking about some European countries, COVID restrictions. We're talking about Delta. Surprise, surprise. We're even going to talk about some phone apps that we find useful for traveling. So, quite the show, quite packed. Let's get started. I'm Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners. I love going on cruises, love talking about airlines, credit card redemptions, pretty much everything. My travel expert in chief, Miss Haley, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. A little tired. My name is Haley. I've been working in hotels for 15 years. I own the hotel sales support company, Hospitality with a Flair, and I travel blog. And I just love traveling like Jason does. So we've got a full itinerary
We
today.
do. We have a
Yes,
lot.
last week didn't have a lot of articles. This week was
We have a lot. So we're going to dig right in. So if you have been paying attention to the news at all, China has had this like, zero COVID policy where, they're testing people regularly, not letting anybody in. They're just like we COVID zero. Well, as we all know, that is not practical. It's not sustainable. It's just not going to happen. But an authoritarian regime can kind of do whatever they want, right? We probably just got banned from China, Haley. So, anyways, so the Chinese government has decided to start slowly opening up some travel or tourism to China. It very closely resembles what Japan was doing early on. You know, testing requirements, vaccine requirements. Tour
organized tours. Yeah.
right. So, I know some people are really anxious for Asia to open up, us included. So this is, I mean, I think as goes China, as goes a lot of the region. So hopefully this is the beginning of the the next phase of opening back up.
Yeah,
So
I feel like we're just seeing the last of these start to trickle out and
well, on that note, speaking of ending of requirements, the Netherlands has ended all of its travel restrictions. It was one of the last countries in that region to just really restrict travel for international, just leisure vacations, a lot of hoops to jump
and they
through.
and they were tricky. Like you couldn't even like lay over there originally for a while if you're
Right.
a US citizen. It was very, very strict.
It was very strict. So they have decided to pretty much open up. I mean, there's some asterisks there, yada yada yada. But the Netherlands are, for the most part, open for business like the rest of Europe. So that is exciting. That is wonderful, wonderful news. So if you guys have been on a cruise lately, or if you haven't, one of the questions I get asked the most as a travel advisor is, we'll have to wear a mask on a cruise. And passengers have not been required to wear a mask on cruises for a long time, like a long, long time. But the crew members still are wearing the mask, and there's lots of mixed, like you're going to let passengers on without them, but require the crew. There's been a lot of mixed feelings about this. So Disney just came out, and they are no longer going to require mask for the crew members. They've not made them wear them outside for a while. They've kind of let it, it was ease restrictions, but inside, crew members, it's optional to wear them. Look, and I'm sure there'll be crews don't want to wear them. That's fine. But I hope we see this trend, especially like I think about these like people working on cruises in like the Caribbean or the Med in summer, just like, be miserable.
Well,
So
I will let you know Friday, because Friday's my first Disney cruise.
oh, that's right.
Ever. And it's a Halloween sailing, so I gotta pack my costume.
That's exciting. That is exciting. So yeah, so good news there on the Disney front. Now, this was interesting to me, and I want to kind of pick your brain about this a little bit. So
I'm gonna get my soapbox out for this one.
okay. So I'll set it up briefly, and then we'll just let you go. So if you don't know, like when you talk about like redemption stays, that's just basically you're using your points or miles to purchase a hotel stay for free, right? You're just paying with points. So people started to see some fees pop up in the app, the Marriott app, that resemble the cash plus points. So a lot of like hotels and airlines will have pay with cash default, pay with points or miles with an airline, or kind of a combination of both. Well, Marriott, there have been some like fees popping up to pay with points, and I don't really understand what to do if I see one. So Haley, what do I do if I am booking a hotel, paying with points, and I see a fee pop up?
So
Go.
I'm gonna have to post this link from the Points Guy, because it's a really good guide. So just in general, there are times I will find different rates on the Marriott app versus Marriott.com.
Really?
Like not by like a lot, but enough. I have thoughts and feelings. So Hilton has a similar program that's points plus cash, where you can, maybe you don't have enough points for the free stay, but you can trade points for a lower rate. 9 times out of 10, this is a terrible deal. It is not worth it. Just because the value of what you can get for points itself. I mean, with Marriott and Hilton, it's a little trickier now that they're both dynamic. Hyatt is still like my lone road warrior in that upper premium brand category that has a rate category. But I just think it's crazy when you see X amount of points and something as small as $55, $100, because it's part of being in the business. Like that's what makes people loyal. And nickel and diming people that obviously have enough points to stay for free is not a good guest service policy on loyalty, in my opinion. I think it's kind of crazy. And remember, with these brands too, you have like the stay 5 nights on points, get the 4th night free kind of promos, and to like tack money on top of it. It's just kind of like a smack in the face, I think, to the consumer that is loyal to that brand. So I'm not a huge fan on it. There's a workaround through the website. We'll post the link in the group, and I'll actually do that while Jason starts talking about the next topic. But I get really hot on those because people are loyal for a reason, and
Yeah,
that
I mean, look, I mean,
you have credit cards and you move points over, like you're paying an annual fee, you're paying
right,
this.
right. Okay. Well, I mean, if there's a way around it, that is great. She'll post the link in the group right now. So, all right. So, moving on to talk about our favorite topic, which we always love to discuss, Delta. So, so we talked a lot about this new premium economy space that the airlines are rolling out, right? So it's for international flights mostly. It is that space it's better than economy, but it's not quite business class, right? So the seats resemble like a domestic first class, right? It's a definitely an upgraded experience over economy. Haley and I both have done it for international flights. I thought the seat was great, but I did think the food and the drink service, it was basically just economy, right? I mean, when you're flying up front, at least in Delta One, I mean, it is an experience, right? I mean, it is, it's an experience. I mean, it's just like champagne. I was like, stop with the champagne. They just keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming,
Oh,
and
well, yours is champagne. Olivia's is usually, can I get an extra roll or breadstick? And they
love it, love it.
all the carbs.
I love it. Love it. So there's been some complaints at the premium economy. It's like, hey, we are paying more, but we're getting the same like food and drink service of economy. Delta has come out and they said starting later this month, actually it's today, Delta is going to start doing upgraded menus for your economy. The braised beef short ribs is on there. That's my go
Oh, Jason, that's one of your favorites.
go-to in Delta One. So they're doing that. They're going to do drink service and champagne. They're calling it Bubbles and Bites right after takeoff. So I'm glad to see Delta adding more value in the premium economy.
They need to because I mean the seat is nice that you can lift your feet up, but like they're not that nice. And especially one of the things that I told you about is you have to also look at the cabin of
Right.
what premium economy is because there's some that are like a 232 setup, a 242 setup. I personally liked the 222 setup. Those are actually the biggest premium economy seats for any people of size that are watching. But I mean, you're paying almost 1,000 more than regular economy. There needs to be something more than just the seat.
I agree. I agree. I agree. So I'm really excited for that. Next time one of us flies premium economy, hopefully we'll have an upgraded experience. So, all right. So my young space camp dreams and fantasies are coming out. So Hilton has been tasked to design the astronaut facilities aboard the private space station Starlab, currently in development. So they're going to be doing all the suites, the sleeping arrangements, the marketing of the space station. It
I think it's so cool. I mean, like, and imagine like the bedding upgrade that's going to be as
I'm
well. I
just like,
just feel like that's probably something that's like a last thought, because they're spending so much money on other things. I'm excited to see that. I thought that was so
I
neat.
love it. If you guys know me at all, I'm a huge space fan, huge Star Trek fan. Anything space, I love. I did space camp as a little kid. Like I just love. Like I'm just like a space nerd, and
No.
I would, I would. I mean, I think this is just super cool, and I would love to sign up and go to space.
All
All
right, next one.
Yeah. So okay. So we're always talking about promotions and deals. Right now, Choice Hotels are doing 20% off stays, 2 nights or longer through the end of November. Now, this could be really great if you guys are looking for any type of like holiday, Thanksgiving type stays. Um, but as we talked about last week, holiday travel is really expensive. So if you're looking for a more budget friendly hotel, some of the choice properties could be a really good way to save some money on some holiday stays if you don't feel like, staying with your in-laws over Thanksgiving.
I usually with my hotels, I mean, because we have anything from Marriott, Hilton, we have some choice, Wyndham, like we're all over the board. And we always like to create a escape your in-laws kind of rate. Because usually
Does that
most hotels are in a super busy area for Thanksgiving, for example. So they can usually be a little bit more generous with the rates, but this also brings up a tip within itself before we get to our tip of the day is when you are on vacation and maybe you are plotting out a multi-city trip, like even in Europe, try your reservation for a few different days. Like a lot of our hotels will set up, stay 2 nights, get 10%, stay 3 nights, get 15%, stay 4 nights, get 20 or 25% off of what the rate is. So make sure you're playing with those days while you're looking.
right? Okay, good. So when you said stay with your in-law rates, does that make it more or less, or not stay with your in-law
No,
rate? Does that make it more or less?
in-laws. It's usually a really good deal when we do them.
Okay, okay, okay. I mean, yeah, I would much rather. I'm to that point in my life where people are like, oh, just stay at my house when you come visit. I'm like, I'll get a hotel. Like,
I get a hotel, and I mean, granted, we have, the apartment in essence, we're finishing our basement, which is a little different.
right.
But there's a Hampton Inn up the street, and I pull my employee rate normally, which is like $35 a night. I'm like, here,
We'll just stay there. Just stay there. Yeah.
there.
Good. 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 Well, speaking of like holiday travels, we have a good question, and people ask me this all the time, right? Like, what travel apps do you use specifically on travel day? So I think this is a great question. I have three, I'm going to say four that I really, really use probably every day on travel app or travel day. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first, but I just want to remind everybody if you're commenting, you're on Facebook, we cannot see your name, so make sure you add your name in there, and we'll kind of touch on them towards the end. So for me, depending on where I'm going, I am definitely using a weather app.
Okay.
I'm using a currency exchange app.
Oh, I don't use those. I just Google it. Okay.
I kind of like to
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um,
That is a good one. I just Google it.
I use FlightAware, but you're about to change my mind on that. And then I also do use the Priority Pass app, especially when I'm traveling internationally, to see what other lounge options are available to me. And then, of course, whatever hotel I'm using that app, airline, etc.
Right. So I use so first off, to get to the airport, I use Lyft, right?
Yeah.
My Sky Miles account is linked. We've talked about this, and you earn Sky Miles in every Lyft you take. And if it's going to or from the airport, you get double Sky Miles account for your Lyft. Okay, so I typically use Lyft right away. Okay.
I thought of another. I use Instacart too, because that's how I'll have depending where I'm at, cases of water and snacks and stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Screen and stuff like that.
And obviously, when I'm at the airport, guys, and this is going to sound silly, but I'm shocked by the people who do not have the airlines app on your phone.
Yeah.
You have to put in your flight on you have to. I book flights for clients all the time, and I'm happy to do it. I do it all day, every day. And I send them their confirmation number, and I said, you have to go download the United app or American app, whatever. You have to put this confirmation in because you're going to get alerts faster through United than you're going to get them from me. You're going to get them immediately.
100%. And then also, if something happens, most of these apps now have the feature like where you can change your flight, where they're just like, hey,
Yeah, I agree.
these other flights, like Delta has it that I've used multiple times. Don't stand in those lines.
No, I agree. I agree. So the flight app, I mean, I know it sounds trivial, but I mean, when I'm flying, I mean, I'm in the Delta app a lot that day, right? Looking what's going on. Third one, I mean, I don't mind the Priority Pass app, but I like Lounge Buddy better.
Oh,
So Lounge Buddy is iOS exclusive. Sorry, Android people. So what's cool about Lounge Buddy is
ooh, sweet.
you put in everything you have, right? Your credit cards you have, your airline status, you put in your flight information, you put in everything you have, Priority Pass, I'm flying Delta One, whatever, and put your airports, and it tells you each lounge you can go into. So even if it's not a Priority Pass lounge, like so all the Priority Pass lounges are in there, but you can tell them you're Priority Pass member. So that's a great way to see. That's a great way to see which lounges you have access to when you're flying. And the last one, I used to be quite the flight aware fan, but the UI on Flight Aware is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So at one of Apple's recent keynote, I might have been with when they were announcing like iOS 16 this summer. Apple talked about this app Flighty. And for Apple to mention an app during a presentation, that carries some weight. So I was like, you know what? Let me just download it and play around with it. It is really good. Now, it has basic features that are in the free. The Pro features are $50 a year. So it's a lot of the same features as FlightAware, but it does it in a much better way. And they've added a lot of features with the brand new iOS 16. So you can add like home screen widgets for Flighty. And that's like your flight information. I have a widget on one of my screens that says like my next flight, like the push notifications are great. So I'm really enjoying Flighty. That's like my new tracking app. And what's cool is they will scan your calendar and import the flights automatically. And then they'll do like a lifetime history of all your flights. So every flight I've had on my calendar is now in the app. And it tells me how many times I've flown here, flown there, flown there. I'm like, they're not all in there. I wish they were, but it's kind of cool to see. And then you can track your friends' flights.
Athens, Fort Lauderdale,
Right.
Miami.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you can track your friends' flights and tag a flight as your friend so it doesn't go against like your stats. So
I'm gonna have to take a gander.
Flighty is great. So those are the ones I use. Of course, weather, but I mean I use the weather app all the time. But you know, weather is of course, without saying. So yeah. So speaking of apps, Haley, you have a really good tip of the day.
So, for those of you that do not have global entry or you're in permanent purgatory waiting for your global entry, Mobile Passport Control app is for you. This is going to save you time coming through customs when you're coming back into the US. You get to skip that big, massive line. They will have a separate line for this. So highly, highly recommend downloading this because nobody likes lines. I've noticed, especially with all my isms between pre-check, global entry, and I'm a very impatient person.
Yeah, so if you know what we're talking about. So when you fly back into the country for an international flight, there's going to be the global entry line. Haley and I've talked about global entry all the time. They don't have it, get it. And there's typically like the mobile passport line. And that's just like it's not as fast as global entry, but it's way better than just like the regular customs line. So like strongly recommend getting this because some of these customs lines can be hours. And if you have a connecting flight, you have to go through customs, get your bags, like it's a process.
And you will sometimes see these for cruise ships too. This is what the app looks like.
Yep. Although I have not had Granted, I haven't cruised out of the United States much this year. I mean, I've done it a couple times.
I've had it in
Nope.
Fort Lauderdale. I've done it in Port Everglades.
Well,
I've
it seems
used
like I keep getting the face scanners
it.
now off cruises.
Yeah, this was before face scanners. And another thing to note too is you can fill out just one of these. I'm trying to get it angled here. There we go. Just one of these for a family. So not everybody in your family has to do it. You can do everybody in
Nice.
one form.
Nice. All right. Well, guys, that is pretty much it. We covered a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. So Haley, our Facebook group, todayintravel.live, you're going to post an article on there.
I already did it.
You already did it, to avoid Marriott fees. Guys, we'll see you next week.
All right.